Ladies and gentlemen, once again, media hyperventilates in this kind of like maniacal, rabid, frothing at the mouth frenzy. And once again, they're proved wrong by President Trump. Malaria drug helps patients improve in small study. Well, isn't that interesting? A group of moderately ill people were given hydroxychloroquine, which appeared to ease their symptoms quickly, but more research is needed. Yeah, more research is needed, fine. We're in the midst of a crisis where you need treatment, and you need some kind of answer to alleviate suffering, pain, the severity of symptoms. The petulant manner that the New York Times and others, when you consider the fact that they're like, well, this is unproven. It's really unproven. Now, President Trump was right. So let's just read this. The malaria drug, hydroxychloroquine, helped to speed... By the way, this segment is not a recommendation. I'm not recommending anything. I'm not touting anything. I'm not saying there's no medical advice given here. Okay? Just for YouTube policies, 100%. No medical advice given. I am simply reading the New York Times. And you have to take the New York Times article in the context of the vitriol and venom and typical hysterical ranting and raving of media when it comes to anything President Trump says. So he happened to be right about this, or at least he is being vindicated. So the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine helped to speed the recovery of a small number of patients who were mildly ill from the current crisis. Doctors in China reported this week. Cough, fever, and pneumonia went away faster, and the disease seemed less likely to turn severe in people who received hydroxychloroquine than in a comparison group not given the medication. The authors of the report said that the medication was promising, but that more research was needed to clarify how it might work in treating. Okay. The interesting thing about this is that, number one, why didn't the smartest people in the room, the same people who were saying, oh, we have to shut down the entire planet, these people have completely shut down the world economy. And these are also the people who did not develop some kind of treatment or research some kind of treatment before March. Now they say, well, a vaccine takes about a year and a half, fine. But even with a vaccine for, you could still get the flu even with a flu vaccine. So, you need some kind of treatment, some kind of medication to lessen the severity of this. The problem with this crisis is that, well, they say, oh, this is more severe than the average. Well, yeah, okay, you need to find some medication or treatment to lessen the severity. This isn't rocket science. You also tell the most vulnerable people not to go out, and everyone washes their hands. So I love how people suddenly, you have all these people, especially on the left, it's very interesting, wash your hands, hundreds of millions could perish. No, yet again, not only were they wrong about Trump and Russia, they were wrong about, first of all, they were wrong about Clinton winning. I was right. I said Clinton would not win in 2016. NPR quoted, in 2015 I said this, NPR quoted me, and 538. They said Trump wouldn't be GOP nominee. I said that Clinton is unelectable and would lose swing states. She's going to be the nominee again, and they will lose again. Why is that so difficult for people to, imagine? No big deal. She'll run again in 2024. She has a good chance of winning in 2024, actually, unless one of the, Donald Trump Jr. would probably defeat her in 2024. But anyway, She's going to be the nominee. It's the centennial of the 19th Amendment. They're not going with Tales from the Crypt Biden, who is horrendous in every way. Anyway, it's going to send a ripple of excitement out through the treating community, said a infectious disease expert at Vanderbilt University. The study was small and limited to patients who were mildly or moderately ill, not severe cases. Like many reports about, it was posted on, an online server for medical articles before undergoing peer review by other researchers, Medarvix. But the findings strongly support earlier studies suggesting a role for the drug. I think it will reinforce the inclination of many people across the country who are not in a position to enter their patients into clinical trials but have already begun using hydroxychloroquine. All right. So, this is the worst thing to ever happen to Democrats or media because they're like, oh my God, there's actual treatment? Oh, we can't just blame everything on Trump. So not only did he signed the stimulus, which was like $6 trillion, and Democrats, to thank him, are now going to investigate him. You had Andrew Cuomo and Gavin Newsom and all these wonderful Democrats who did nothing but focus on renewable energy and their State of the State addresses. They didn't mention masks. Why didn't Andrew Cuomo mention anything to do with this crisis in January? January was a State of the State address. Okay. Why didn't Democrats mention anything to do with this? February 3rd was like the last day of the impeachment nonsense, where they literally tried to remove the president of the United States in the beginning of February, and then said, well, why didn't you know of everything in March? As if they were on top of things. But anyway, previous reports from China and France that the drug seemed to help patients, along with enthusiastic comments from President Trump, have created a buzz around hydroxychloroquine and the closely related chloroquine, which are decades-old drugs used to treat malaria and autoimmune diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. A resulting spike in demand has led to shortages and left patients who rely on the drugs for chronic diseases wondering whether they will be able to fill their prescriptions. Okay. With no proven treatment, many hospitals have simply been given hydroxychloroquine to patients, reasoning that it might help and probably will not hurt because it's relatively safe. Wow. So this is a drug that's relatively safe, and all you get from media is like, does Trump without evidence? He doesn't. Could be horrible. Oh my God! Look what Trump is doing. Oh my God! Their vitriol and their contempt knows no bounds. The whole point is, if you have something like this crisis, where yes, a vaccine's going to be a year and a half. Okay. The smartest people in the room should have already come to a conclusion as to which existing medications, drugs, treatments would help lessen the severity of all of this. The whole point is, if you can lessen the severity of any ailment, you can survive the ailment. The issue, the medical issue, you lessen the severity. Okay? You don't need, an absolute cure immediately if that's not possible. If you lessen the severity, you increase chances of survival. Treatment, it's called. Okay? Some kind of treatment. But the problem with media and Democrats, they suffer from such derangement issues that they can't focus on anything positive Trump does. Like, he's going to win re-election. He's going to go 8 years. Okay, there's a chance Clinton could win. They're not going with Biden, and they're not going with Cuomo. When people say, oh, well, she can't run anywhere. At the convention, it doesn't even matter. The whole thing's rigged anyway. At the convention, they're going to there's 2 rounds, and the superdelegates. You know who's a superdelegate? Debbie Wasserman Schultz. You think she's going to go for Biden or Clinton? You know who Biden's campaign is run by? All former Clinton campaign officials. The whole thing's rigged beyond belief. At the convention, which was moved to August, the centennial of the 19th Amendment. But here, Let's see. The study was small, okay, but the findings strongly support earlier studies. Previous reports from China and France have helped patients with no proven treatment. Okay, the earlier reports from France and China drew criticism because they did not include control groups to compare treated versus untreated patients. Researchers called the reports anecdotal and said the lack of controls made it impossible to determine whether the drug worked. Well, even if it's anecdotal and like this crisis is supposed to be the end of the world, if you have doctors in France and China, even if they're just saying, hey, you know what, this seems to be working and it's anecdotal, and you don't have like ironclad proof, but it's relatively safe, the medication is. There's not like severe drawbacks or side effects. Then like I don't understand the vitriol that Trump received. But here you have that was a New York Times article. This is Fox. After mocking Trump for promoting hydroxychloroquine, journalists acknowledge it might treat the crisis. So, after repeatedly mocking President Trump for suggesting on March 19th that hydroxychloroquine could be an effective treatment for, fake apocalypse, media organizations have begun acknowledging that the drug, now approved for emergency use to treat by the Food and Drug Administration, may be useful after all. Journalists and top Democrats have beaten a similarly harsh retreat from their previous claims that Trump's ban on travel from China was xenophobic. Okay, but media outlets, they were they were initially against the travel ban on that issue. They're all over the place. Anything he does. If Trump found the cure for cancer, they would say, oh, pharmaceutical companies are suffering from this. Trump is horrible. But media outlets' misinformation on hydroxychloroquine was unique because it involved not simply policy disagreements, but also suggestive medical advice and directives that could have dissuaded some from seeking certain treatments. Look, nobody said it was a miracle cure. Disgruntled, maniacal, petulant, venomous, malicious Democrats. Nobody said it was a miracle cure. The whole point is finding some kind of treatment that if it works for some people, it might work for others. You never know. And the whole point is if there's anecdotal evidence with doctors in other countries, and you might not have ironclad proof from a whole bunch of studies, then even before the studies that proved Trump right, you should probably look into it just because, I don't know, the medication apparently is not, there aren't severe side effects, but the whole point is you have to find some kind of treatment, some kind of, short-term remedy to this, to lessen the severity of the fevers and all of that. Again, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just reading you here. Just can read you the New York Times article. This is the new malaria drug helps patients improve. So there you go. In small study. Well, this isn't like they've shut down the world economy. The United States economy has completely shut down. Now, what if, God forbid, there's an even greater mutation or bug? We will not be in a position to shut down the economy again. Okay. And you better believe there's a political motive to all of this, but we won't be in a position to do so. You can't just every 2-3 years, God forbid. Let's say it happens 3 years from now. Do you think they're going to shut down the economy 3 years from now? Every 3 years, $6 trillion? Literally, the world will go bankrupt. The country will go bankrupt. You can't do that all the time. You can't have a massive stimulus every 3 years, every 2 years, and just shut down the economy, have 6 million, now is well over 6 million people unemployed. You can't have record unemployment and a complete shutdown of the economy, and then bailouts every 3 years or 2 years or 4 years or 5 years. That's not sustainable. So then what do you do, God forbid, if there's an even worse bug than this? Media and Democrats? Well, if it's a Democrat in office, what do you think's going to happen? Very likely, 20% of the U.S. economy, New York and California, they'll probably have a different tune. Anyway. Okay, so here's the bottom line. The bottom line is this. President Trump, his initial reaction to this, based on information that he heard from France and China, was accurate. And he was right, vindicated beyond belief regarding this. Is it a cure? Is it good for everybody? Is this medical advice? Absolutely not. But all the people who, did their usual maniacal, hyperventilating, they're proven wrong yet again. Give me your thoughts below. If you want to subscribe to this channel, if you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Thanks, everybody. And definitely subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. Thank you.